Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today I'm up here in Charlotte with Kevin at the Charlotte office, and we're looking in on one of their installs. Let's take a look and see what they're going to do here. So starting out here at the curb, we'll start here and work our way back. You can kind of see that we're on a pretty good hill, and when we get around back you'll see more of that problem. We're going to discharge it right out here at the curb. You can see there's all kinds of markings here, cable, and they've almost got over half of that trench dug already. Took the sod off, down in some red clay. Gerald's found some kind of irrigation pipe right there. We take our time with those. Kevin white lined the area, and you can see that gas line, that yellow marking running through here. But he took the sod off, set it off to the side, have our plastic over here. We're going to connect these lines that come out of the crawl space. We're going to connect that dehumidifier. You can see that. I'll show you that inside. They've got a really good dehumidifier. A lot of people ask me what's the best dehumidifier. I'm going to show you that in just a second. And we'll also do that condensation drip and connect that into the line as well. Looking good. A couple of catch basins we'll put on this line. You can see how they come around the back, and you can really see what's happening here with the yard. Neighbor's yard is dripping all that water. I say dripping, it's pouring all of that water across here, and you can see that it just, if you look at the sod carefully, they just can't get it to grow. You see that? It's just so much water coming across this area.
Hey, how's it going? Kevin here with Apple Drainage Charlotte. We're in kind of right off of Providence Road, South Charlotte area today, working on some downspout mitigation. Chuck's going to show you around, but just wanted to say hello. Have a great day.
So Tymir's been with Kevin for a while, and you can see he's scraping that sod off of there, just following the white line, nice clean path as it comes through. A couple of catch basins, and you know, catch basin placement is pretty important. As you look at this area, even though it looks like it's all pouring towards the house, there's actually a little valley right here. And so the water comes down, it comes right down through here, it'll drop into that catch basin, go into that 4-inch line and send it all the way out front. Kevin's at the beginning of the line, and you can see that downspout. This is picking up a tremendous amount of roof up here, tremendous amount. All of that water has been pouring down this direction as well. So in about 10 minutes, Kevin's dug about 25 feet, 20 feet. And you can see he's at a perfect depth. He's coming through there. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here as well, do a few feet, do a little section here. And again, when you're digging this yourself, just don't stop. That's the best advice I can give you. Believe you can do this and keep working at it. You've cut your sod off, you got your plastic out, just dig backwards, and pretty soon you'll have a very clean trench. I know when I was out there in Nebraska for a little while, just passing through, I was surprised at how pretty Nebraska is. I mean, it's very flat, but as you head towards the Rockies, which is really cool, as you go from Omaha, maybe you've made that drive, but
I had. It's the 80, right?
Yep. And I mean, you can see the Rockies all day.
Yeah.
You never get there. But it gets into those rolling hills. Okay, so as you're digging, sometimes you're gonna find a line, some wires. This is irrigation control right here. And of course they don't mark that. Locators don't locate that. And of course we've cut all the sod off, and it's running right through our trench. And there's an irrigation box down here. We thought we had missed it, thought it ran through here, but unfortunately it's right in our trench. So what do? Well, you're gonna have to move over your trench. It's just that simple, or you're gonna cut that line. So what I'm gonna do is explore it right here to see if it's in this trench, and then we can make a decision on what we're gonna do. So sure enough, we found, I found this other line right here, and you can see here's the control wire. Usually control wires run in the same trench as the pipe itself. So I'm gonna move this line over to right alongside the edge of this trench. We shouldn't have to cut any more sod, but it's definitely running right through here. So one of the guys has a metal detector in his truck. You can kind of hear it. And he's just confirming that yeah, there's a line down there, which we already found, but it's kind of nice. I suppose that you can have, if you have one, you can use it. We don't have one, and not too worried about it, but nice little tool to have. Okay, wanted to talk a little bit about soil. You know, we're not a big believer in wrapping these systems with fabric. Let me show you a couple things about soil. Remember, we're in North Carolina, and you can see the red clay. You see that? See that red clay? That does not migrate at all. There's hardly anything that comes off of this. When it rains, it just turns slick and becomes clay, just like pottery. Most of the pottery in the country comes from North Carolina. So the other thing is, as you're digging, you see the brick. This has the brick facade on the outside, and they've trashed this area. You know, when this was backfilled, they just threw all their trash out here, and you can see it makes it a rather difficult dig. You can also see that red clay. Red clay is pretty easy to dig through. What's hard to dig through is this backfill. This stuff right here. Yes, this stuff would get into a French drain if you didn't wrap it. But the red clay, let me pull the shovel back. There we go. You see the red clay vein? That doesn't migrate. I mean, you've played with Play-Doh and things like that. This doesn't put off little microscopic particles that can get into your rock. So again, depending on where you live, it's very important to understand your soil type. And again, I'm not against fabric by any means, but here in North Carolina, you really don't need it. These kind of rocks really slow down when you're digging, whether you're using an excavator or whether you're using the trencher, the chain. It's going to hit these rocks, and it can throw the chain, and it can also stop that bucket of the excavator instantly. Just that one little rock. But digging by hand, same thing. Shovel hits it, you just have to dig it out. It's just that simple. So these guys have pretty much got this trench all done, and it's actually beginning to snow. And as I said earlier, this really reminds me of when I first started up in Columbus, Ohio, and we would dig throughout the winter. Snow-covered yards, it didn't matter. You know, we'd bring the trencher out there, we'd just go ahead and buzz right through that. Trencher cuts through pretty good stuff, snow, ice, even the frozen ground. Much better than the excavator does, by the way. But yeah, I mean, this snowing here in Charlotte, it snows. How often do you think it snows, Kevin? Every couple years?
Yeah, maybe once a year. Maybe.
Once a year, twice a year here. And if you go back through our videos, you'll see that a couple of videos where we've been working in the snow here this time of year, pretty normal. Okay, you know, we've been working in crawl spaces for over 30 years and drying them out. People ask me, and I get emails, the controversy. Should you seal the vents or not? You see that? That vent is sealed. You notice they're all sealed through here. Should you encapsulate, or should you just use the moisture barrier? Okay, so there's just moisture barrier down here. It works fine. The next biggest question is, what is the best, you know, what would we recommend as a dehumidifier? Again, we don't sell dehumidifiers, but if I was going to recommend one, I would recommend this one. The Santa Fe Compact. The last time I remember checking on the price of those, they were about $800 to $900. And wow, do they work? Do they work? Wow. This crawl space is so dry that, I mean, I can feel it on my skin. It is so dry in here. And you can see it has a little bit of drippage here. That's quite old, but the real condensation line from that thing runs that direction and goes out. They're going to hook that thing up outside, as well as the condensation from the heat in the air right there, that white pipe. They'll hook all those things up outside as well, because it really gets wet. These things put out a lot of water when they kick on. But again, the Santa Fe Compact, really great dehumidifier.
So what we have here is a 9x9 NDS catch basin. What's really neat is you can actually, it's got different parts that'll connect into it. So they do make back plates that'll close the catch basin. Most of these kits are going to come with your 2 connectors. So these are very simple. You slide them in and you turn and it locks into place. What we do when we install these is we excavate so that it sits down, and then we take a level and make sure that it's level this direction as well as this. You kind of want to make a plus sign with your level. This particular level has bubbles to allow you to do both, but some of them don't have that. So just put it in a plus sign, get it level, and then you're ready to install.
Perfect. The other thing that's really interesting is, remember me talking about clay? This clay is so stable that once they set this, and he'll probably re-level this again. Can you see the snowflakes dropping? But once he lays the pipe, he'll probably have to re-level that again. But we're just kind of getting the rough in. This soil is so stable that it doesn't move. And again, wrapping that French drain with fabric here in North Carolina, really not needed. Georgia, Tennessee, these areas that have this thick clay, this really good clay that, it's pottery clay. That's how good this clay is. The fabric is really not needed.
So we just went ahead and took the downspout adapter and connected it to our main drainage line. In this particular system, we're going to be using a 4-inch corrugated line, and this is solid pipe. So earlier in the video, you heard Chuck talk about fabric. There's no point in putting fabric around a solid pipe. The water is conveyed from the highest point all the way to the bottom. There's not going to be any saturation out because it's not slotted or perforated. It is a solid pipe to convey the water from our troubled area all the way down to the road where there's a storm drain just further away from the property.
We want to make sure that this line runs straight down. You can see how they've made this and put some dirt to hold it, because this is the most important part. This is straight down. Aesthetically, this looks so good. Now we're coming down. We're going to connect the catch basin down here. You can see Kevin's got the saw. We'll go ahead and cut that and make that connection. A very easy thing. Lay the pipe a little bit across your catch basin, make your measurement, and you can cut it to length. It's just that simple. It's always a little bit good to cut it a little bit long, because you can easily push the pipe back through the trench. If you cut it short, you're going to have to cut a whole new piece.
You want to make sure you hear that click. That click means that it's in there.
Perfect.
One other thing that I do, anytime there's a porch or a home, it's an extra little step, but just make sure that it's parallel with the home. It's going to make the property look better long term. So we've got a house here to our right. My goal is to make this parallel with the house. When the grass grows, it's going to look really nice.
Perfect. So we've got some irrigation lines right here, and you can see what we're doing is we just need to get around the side of that, and then we'll be at the proper depth. We don't need to go under those. Come down and around. Remember, I was over here and found these irrigation lines. They're plenty deep enough. We can go right over top of those. The rest of this trench is complete, and you can take a look. We're just going to go ahead and finish cleaning things out. There's a lot of tree roots along the side. You can see the size of these trees. They're giant trees and their root system is severe. Luckily, they go very deep to hold that big tree up. They're not really that shallow of a roots. They're very deep roots to hold that big heavy tree up. But we're almost done here. We got the downspout adapter set. You can see it's going to go down and go under that sprinkler and come out, connect all the way out to the street. So again, this is a really great project if you want to do this yourself. I mean, we've only been here 3 hours all together, and yes, granted, there's 4 guys digging. I pitched in a little bit just because I was cold. That's the only reason I was digging, because I was cold. But these guys have this knocked out in just a few hours. If you do it yourself, it might take you all day, but if you take your time, you'll get this done. Maybe it's a weekend project, but this is an easy project. It's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of material, and you got this done. So it's just right around 12 o'clock, right at noon, and these guys have just pretty much got this whole line dug out. And the reason that they're digging by hand, of course, is because that gas line, as you see that, it ran right alongside the trench right there. So they decided to do this all by hand. There are so many helpful tips in this video between Kevin and I, and actually his crew. If you watch here coming up, his crew is installing pipe, cutting it, laying it. It's really great. These guys, all of our crews, we are all qualified. Every one of us inside the Apple Drainage crew can do these jobs. So what you're seeing Kevin do, there's a little bit of overpour there. I don't think that's a footer as much as that's just mortar from all that brick. And you just chip that away so that this line can come as best as it can straight down. You can see he's probably going to be able to pull out that whole piece right there. And it's just excess stuff. It's not footer. You can break this off and pop it right out of there. Pry bar, pick, shovel, whatever you got, it pulls right out.
Ready? Yep.
So we spin the pipe. Tymir's just helping it get around the corner here, and Kevin's pulling it under the fence, and he'll just stretch it all the way out until Gerald can hook up this pipe to the catch basin. Really a basic little job, but you can see it does get kind of involved. So if you've ever watched one of my tips of how to unroll the pipe, I think you'll see why that's so important. Okay, so Kevin's going to keep stretching it out, and Gerald's going to hook it up. Keep pulling, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay. A little bit more.
That's pretty good. Okay. We want to hear it click inside that catch basin. We want to make sure it's nice and secure. There we go, good and secure. Then we'll just step it on down in the trench and come on around the corner, and that section's installed.
So we've excavated underneath this sprinkler pipe, and you know, I always like to go a little extra. It just makes it a little bit easier, and at the end of the day, cleanup's not that hard to move a little extra dirt. So we've fed this kind of underneath, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of shimmy it. Till I have enough, and then I'll actually compress the pipe. We'll do it this way. So we'll put the connector on, and then we'll compress and get that in there nice and straight. You know, always kind of check your connections, and that's how it's done.
Looking really good. Looking really good. Don't forget, Kevin was it's cold out here, you guys. I have to tell you, Kevin's cold, everybody's cold. But normally, when you have that little bit of a problem of compressing that,
right,
you just laugh and you put it together, and you'll get it together even quicker. So get your pipe started, cut straight through. Now you can make a connection. Just snap it in place. What's nice about corrugated is that it does compress, so if it's a little bit long, you can easily fit this pipe. But if it's a little bit short, you've got a problem. So they're covering up the trench. Like I said, this goes really quick. Once that pipe's installed, this goes very quickly. And plastic was laid out. You can see just a little bit of raking. These big clumps of soil, they're gonna break those up, and then we're gonna actually take that and use it over here on the side of the house. So all of this excess, you can see all the clumps, they're going to break that up, and we're going to use it here along this wall. And you can see the erosion that's going along this wall right here. You can see it all around the bed, how that water pours through there. And you can actually see the algae building up on this wall. So we're going to grade that off and help force that water away from that foundation. They've got good window wells, helps keep that so you can build it higher. Okay, so they've got this pretty much ready to go here. You can see in the back we've installed that last section back there. Everything looks really good through here. They're just going to finish laying up this pipe and then clean up. So I'm going to go ahead and head on back to my area, which is the warmth of Florida. But here's a really great little thing to take a look at. Looking at your air conditioning drip. Take a look. Kevin just installed it, and you can see it just instantly is going to start to fill up. And of course the basin collects debris, but the water will come out. You can see my fingers, they'll come out and come down through the pipe. We've got great fall away from this area, and it's real simple to hook this lines up. Basically just drill a small hole, bring the lines into the basin, and you're all set. Okay, these guys have this under control. I'm going to go ahead and head on back down to Florida. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drainage, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.